Starts us asking, what does AB 414 do, or what landlords have to do now with paying out multiple tenants that might have funded the security deposit? Try to answer that as best I can. Hi, my name is Rob Wells. I'm the Landlord. We're on TikTok and YouTube. Please feel free to like, share, subscribe to our videos. Okay. So what AB 414 did was amended Civil Code Section 1950.5, the security deposit statute, to add some new disclosures you have to give about, like, being able to receive a return of the security deposit electronically when a tenancy is terminated, like on a 30, 60, 90-day notice type deal, or when tenant gives notice, or when the lease expires. Okay. So with return of the payments, the legislature also gave some flexibility too for landlords and tenants to enter into agreements on how to divide up the security deposit. So the general rule that's here in the law is, if there is no agreement, you can't get a mutual agreement by all tenants to figure out how the deposit's going to be returned. The law basically states that the landlord will basically mail out a check to all adult tenants on the rental or lease agreement at the time it terminates, okay? And then you'll furnish the itemized statement to them, okay? And this is kind of what happened in the old days, okay? When the lease didn't specify who got what or whatnot, what ended up happening is the check is made out payable to all the tenants, okay? Now, with some of the new changes in the law, the landlords and tenants can come to a mutual agreement at the time the tenancy is started, or at any time after the tenancy is started, as to how to divide up the payments. And that's probably what I would recommend to do so, especially if this is an older tenancy. It didn't prescribe how the deposit was paid and, that type of deal. It's come to a mutual agreement with your tenants, like, hey, how do you want this all to be returned to you? Absent, any itemized statement and lawful deductions, the tenants are entitled to a refund of the deposit. Okay. And it's best now that on any new tenancy, you best basically specify that out. So if they're like 4 individual tenants and they contributed 25% each, I would basically write in the agreement, hey, everyone's going to get a pro rata share at 25% or whatnot of their deposit back. Okay. And parties can enter into agreements now under the law to divvy up who's going to get the deposit back or whatnot. Okay. Your mileage is going to vary. If there's a dispute about what's to happen, that type of deal, I would basically probably consult with counsel, look at your lease agreement, look at any other agreements beforehand about how to handle the deposit. Okay. Because with the new, electronic deposit requirements under 1950.5, if you accept electronic payments, right, you do have to provide the tenants the option of getting their deposit back in the form of payment, I guess, that they pay rent as. Okay. And most of the time it's like ACH deposit or transfer or some type of Zelle procedure. So you have to disclose that to them. They have the right to get electronic return of their deposit, which personally I probably would prefer electronic payments, because with mail being stolen, that type of deal, I want to make sure tenants get their money and so forth back, what they're entitled to. It's probably a little bit more secure ways of returning a deposit, that type of deal. So mileage is going to vary, but generally speaking, that's the rule here. And if you're a landlord in the Northern California area going through this and you need help navigating the new security deposit rules, feel free to reach out. We might be able to help out. Put your comments, questions down below. Try to answer them to the best of my ability. Until next time, folks, I'll see you then. Thanks.